Yeah, good morning, my Teaserking family. Happy Monday. Here it's rainy and pretty warm. Gold, gold 37.24. So flew through 35 through 36. Now flying through 37. We'll be looking at 5,000 soon. But as you can see, it doesn't go up by 100 a day. Today it's up 38. All that bullshit with the Fed lowering interest rates and it dropped $50. It's just like I say, it's just people wanting to buy. They make some excuse. They hammer the price with options and they can buy it $50 cheaper. This is exactly what happens way too often. A second. All right. So we look at gold 37.25 and silver 43.74. Silver's on its way to 100. How can you go to 100? It's never been over 50. Because we're getting a real physical market, not the options derivative markets. This COMEX is price fixed, but it's broken. They've run out of gold and silver, and now they have to buy them, and it's a lot more expensive in the physical market than it is in the paper option market. Oh, let's price fix gold and silver. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I know a lot of people were hurt with it. Oh, I bought gold and it went down and I lost money. Well, no, you didn't. You bought physical, but it's at paper prices. And now we're getting to a physical price. So silver should be 100 soon. Nothing can stop it. When it hits 50, people will take a breath and go, oh my God, it's never been higher. Gold's never been higher than 2000. Oh, it's at 37.25. Silver will go to 100, and once it hits that, it'll hit 500 to 1,000. And these aren't guesses. These aren't maybes. These are what's going to happen. There's nothing anybody can do to stop it. There's too much demand. In a free market, demand's everything. That's how a market works. You want something. You want a cupcake or a donut back in Adam Smith's time. So here comes a baker. I'll bake it for you. And it's going to cost me 25 cents and I'm going to sell it to you. I want to make profit and I'll sell it to you for 50 cents. And you go, yeah, because, I really want one and I can't make it on my own. And that's what happens. So you end up doing that. That's what a market is. There's three components to the market that we've been beating up lately that are listening and making changes. So to make the donut or the cupcake, you can't sell it at $20 back in the 1700s when Adam Smith was around. You can't make it for 20. You can sell it for what the market will pay you for it. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to make donuts. I'm going to sell them for $20. You're trying to attract buyers. That's how it works. I'm going to sell something. What will somebody buy it? You can't just say, I'm going to sell everything for $1 million. You're never going to sell it. So that's the real key of what's happening here with BlackRock and Vanguard and Blackstone and Blacksmith and Black Arrow and Black Bowling Balls. They're trying to, in a market, you sell it where you put a price that people will buy it at. Right, that's the key to it. If you price it too high, nobody will buy it. That's why I use this little dimension. This is what I'll pay for it, but you want to charge this. The ribs, I'll pay 30, but you want to charge 50. That's not going to work. You got to sell it for where there's buyers. You've got to find the buyers. You got to go, okay, where I can sell it here. Oh, wait, I can get more. Can I get more? No. You've got to find this equilibrium, right? So what did Vegas, Disney, McDonald's do? They said, you know what? Yeah, we're just going to mark a big price here. We're not going to find the market. We're gonna dictate to the market. We're going to say, you know what, Vegas, you want to come to Vegas? It's a vacation place. We're going to charge you this extra for food, for drinks, for resort fees, for hotel, for parking. So you're willing to pay this, but we want to charge you this. So what happened? Nobody shows up. The locals, my friend lives in Vegas. I never go on the strip, he says. Why not? I'm not go to Caesars and grab a dinner. He's no, I don't go on the strip. He doesn't want to pay $42 for parking. He doesn't want, there's nothing to eat at it because all these restaurants are very expensive. They add these fees to it. I was showing you, I believe, a couple days ago, there was a video where you can't afford to eat on the strip because they're adding all these fees. Oh, there's a waitress staff, there's a strip charge, there's this charge and that charge. I wouldn't pay it. I said, look, I agreed to buy the hamburger at $26. I'm not paying the ass. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't pay it. I would say, I'll give you $20, but I'm not paying these hidden fees. I didn't agree to them. And I only have to pay for what I agree with, which is I ordered a hamburger and fries. That's all you're getting. And you're disgusting. And I'll never shop there again because you can't fool the customer. You don't want to fool the customer. You want to be upfront with the customer. So anyway, this is what's happening. So all of a sudden, Vegas, my friend calls me, says, oh, they're going to lower resort fees and they're going to lower the parking and this at Caesars in October. I said, they shouldn't lower it. They got to get rid of them. So if they just lower it for a month, it's not going to do any good. I'm not going to run to Vegas because all of a sudden the parking went from 40 to 20 and the resort fees went from 100 to 90. And that's not going to make me go there. Hey, David. I'll get to that in a minute, the games. So all of a sudden they're overcharging, right? So Vegas is now they're starting to realize, now this is because they're not Austrian economists. You've got to sell it here, which means no extra fees, because this is the price people are willing to pay. They're not like, oh yeah, I'll pay $40 for parking and I'll pay. And they think that people will. People aren't going to pay it. They're not going to come back. You've got a unique situation where you get people to go and they might go once a year and then they see this, they're not coming back. So you're not getting repeat business, but you get from Asia and Africa and Europe and the US and Mexico that you get so many different people that you can screw them once because you've got you might have 1 million different visitors, right? And they'll pay it one time and then they won't show up either. Nobody This is what they want to pay no matter what country, no matter if you're a whale or not. We asked Bobby, who's a whale. He says, no way. So this is the point. This is the price. This is for whales and poor people and everybody. This is the market. You don't divide the market into whales and poor people. No, the market's the market. At the barbecue place, ribs are $30. That's wealthy people going. That's poor people going. And they buy it, and that's $30, and that's what they pay for it. That's it. There's no. Oh wait, well we can get the rich people will pay $40 for a slab. No. The market is everybody. Then McDonald's, they're doing a new value meal. Oh, we're only going to charge $8 for our hamburger and fries. That's not even real food; it's processed food. Because they realize that people are staying away. Nobody wants to go to McDonald's and pay $15 for a kid's meal or a meal, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't eat there. I'll never eat there because the food's not real. Culver's I'm dealing with because their portions are real small, but their prices are, give me, I don't want to leave hungry. If I go get a hamburger and a chili or soup and maybe some broccoli, when I leave, I want to be full. I don't want to, if I'm still hungry, I'm not going to eat there. So McDonald's is cutting back. Now I read today Disney is now lowering their prices in Orlando because nobody's coming. So all of a sudden Disney's, we need to lower our prices. In all three scenarios, they're all over market, right? So the market's this, but I'm going to try to sell it here. In what world do they think that works? In what world did they learn that it works? Some idiot says, hey, we can just charge anything and they will pay because we're Disney or we're Caesars or we're Vegas or we're McDonald's. No. You can sell at market. Mercedes, they have $40,000, $50,000 cars. They have $90,000 cars. They're unique in that their customer will pay more because they want to have a Mercedes or a Ferrari. Ferraris was 400,000. I don't know what they are now. And you could, but there was 10 people who would buy them. So but that's not a whale market. That wasn't the market. The market is people who had 400,000 to buy a car. Oh, there's probably 10 people in that market. And that's it. So you're not getting, you don't have you have a very limited market who will pay 400 grand. And you probably sold 50 cars a year. Not like a Toyota, Honda, those guys where they're selling Camrys for 25,000. Well, you got a much bigger market because of your price. Your price dictates your market. A lot of people, I can't afford it. I'm not going to pay it. And off you go. Where certain people will pay more. That's how the market works. So if Caesars wants to sell it higher, they don't have a market for that. There's no market of, well, I'm a whale and I'm a Silicon Valley and I'm going to pay more. There's no such market for that. Yes, there are people that might have made money in Bitcoin, or there might be people who have, made money here or there. It doesn't make them, they're not going to just pay more because they make so much money. It all comes down to their interest, and it comes down to their what are they comfortable with? You can't just charge. Why doesn't Coke charge $10 for a 2-liter? Nobody will buy it because the market isn't there. They can't sell. They raised the price to $3.60. They won't sell any. I don't see the shelves. I see the shelves pretty full, and then it's buy one and get one free, or buy 5 and it's only $2 to enhance you because they have to pay for the Coke, the grocery store, when it comes in, and then they make it up when they sell it at the registers. But if their price is too high, nobody's going to pay for it, and you can't just make Coke to $10 a bottle. Nobody's going to pay for it. So this is what we have. And then you have people selling, people's market are going down as you inflate the money and it's worthless and it buys less. Funny how McDonald's says the value meal, you get more value for your dollars. Yeah, but you're not eating real food. But they do understand that concept of getting value. And that's what I say here. This might be a €5, but it doesn't have a value of $5. The value of $5 is like 50 cents. The value of this is 1 cent. That's all this is. A dollar has lost 99% of its value. I think it's lost all of it and it's gone. And you can see gold 37.27, silver 43.76. Silver's just going to keep running. The US is broke because they printed their money. Why not just print 37 trillion and pay off the debt? Because the money won't have any value. Well, we can print it. We'll print, $100,000 bills. Yeah, as soon as you see a $10,000 USD, run, don't walk to the border. David, yeah, the wrestling tickets in my area, they wanted 200 to attend an event for not the best seats. Well, again, sports, they're trying to sell them for, they're really the same people. The vanguards are pricing Vegas and Disney at extremely high, are pricing football tickets and baseball tickets extremely high, or a Super Bowl, $5,000 to go. I mean, just because people like it doesn't mean they can afford that. They don't want to pay that kind of money. So yes, I agree with that. I just wouldn't go. You do what you can afford. I know if you want to go to a football game, it's $500 to go to a line game. Fuck off. I'm not paying that. I don't know what it is in Michigan anymore, but it used to be real cheap. And then it went up and it was like $50. And then parking went up to like $50. I don't know where all of a sudden parking goes from 10 or 20 to 50. This whole new formula, some idiot, it must be George Soros behind it. Just like, let's just raise the prices and whoever pays, pays. And we'll lose a lot of people, but some idiots will pay it. I know the Lions are sold out, and as long as they're sold out, they can raise the prices. I don't know why the people go, but okay. It's not even like football fans that go. It's not people like me and you who understand football. Right? I would never pay that. It's people that go because it's an event and they can go to the event. It's really strange, but they don't understand football the way we do. So it's really crazy. David, they still sold out the event. Well, and where are people getting this $200 a ticket for to go to wrestling, or $500 to go to the Lions? And yes, they're selling out now, but there'll be a point. I think what people are doing is they're just using their credit card and they're not paying it. They're just like, I'll get another one. I don't care. I'm not going to pay the credit card. What are you going to do with 200 million people bankrupt? So I think that's the mentality. But yeah, I mean, people don't realize you got to pay the credit cards. You actually have to pay the money back. So that's what you got. And it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, how do you afford to eat if you're paying? And I'm sure if it's $200 a ticket, you're probably taking your kids. I don't know if you're taking your wife, but you're probably taking, you got a couple of kids. So the three of you, that's $600. And then you got to feed them. That's another 100 or two. I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. I think definitely George Soros and his team is behind this. They're trying to bankrupt America, and he's probably bet against the dollar surviving, which is what he did in Britain. And that's my guess of what he's doing. But as these suckers go for it, Vegas and Disney, oh yeah, Disney, we'll just charge $1,000. Why did you stop at $150? Why don't you charge $10,000 to go into the park. And why is the resort fee only $50? Why isn't it $1,000 for the resort fee? And parking, why is it 40 and not 500? There's no difference. People don't like it and don't want to pay for it regardless. That's your thing. A water was $6, so I take it you went. Beer was $12. Well, but you can't be surprised by that. I'm sure if I went to a Lion game or a Tiger game here in Detroit, I'm sure the beer and the pop would be very expensive. That's why I would fill up at the MGM casino where the pop's free and the water's free. And I don't know what you pay, like, because I don't play slot machines. I know when I play poker, there's a pop thing. So the pop's free and the water's free and the coffee's free. But if I were to get a drink, I think they charge for the drinks, even if I'm playing poker, which is really weird. So you would just do that. I mean, I wouldn't, believe me, I'd be more playing poker than I would be watching these games. But Luke was telling me it was like $300 to the Steeler games. Good luck with, I mean, well, why don't they charge 3,000? Why is it only 300? Oh, they wouldn't. So they think the price point is 300 where they'll get fans, but at 3,000, nobody will show up. Okay. So again, why are people going? Why are people going to watch Jacksonville or Tennessee play football? What to see minor league football? Like, why? Anyway, so that's the thing. So they are noticing they're overpriced. Spirit Airlines is Chapter 11 now. They want to charge you to bring your bags on. So the carry-on, which should not be charged because you're putting it under the seat, they're charging you for. And they're incentivizing their work staff that if they see bags that are over, they'll give them a bonus. So they're wasting their time. It's just all you're doing is pissing off your customers. And when I was invited to Vegas, I said no, because I didn't want to pay another $100 to bring my gym bag full of my clothes for a weekend. It's the principle. It's not, can I afford it or not? I could easily afford it. It's got nothing to do with that. It's bullshit. I'm not paying for the bag to bring on my clothes. I can see if I'm checking the bag, then it's expense for your workforce. But if I'm carrying it on and putting it under my seat or in the overhead, why am I paying for it? It's gas, really? But how do you come up with the ticket? You include gas in the ticket. If you're charging me $400 to fly to Vegas, the gas is included in the ticket, as is your pilot, as is everything else. And what these hotels on the Strip are doing, they're charging for the chef and the wait staff and the entertainment fee and all this bullshit. And they might as well close because nobody. Okay, Vegas is unique. You get a lot of people, as I said, from different countries coming one time. And then believe me, they aren't coming back. That's why it's empty now. Like I said, I could have went there a couple of weeks ago and I went up to the lake and I said, no, the lake, I can just drive. I don't have to deal with the airlines. So I'll probably travel to Europe Christmas and deal with it. But okay. But that's okay because, my friends are in Europe. So, I mean, I'm either going to go, then I understand the game. Right. All right. So I noticed that there's a thing we'll look at with, I think was it Egon or Alligator? Silver 43.79. Gold 37.26. All right. So let's go to. So we ran down the score. Let's go to, we can start in pros. That's fine. So let's review pros. I'll review my stats and we'll look at next week. All right. So in the NFL, tonight we got Baltimore 4.5, 53.5 over the Lions. I did play this game. Buffalo wins 31-21. We've talked about Washington 41-24 over the Raiders. I don't know what's going. I think the defenses are incredibly bad. I'm watching the offenses. It's fourth down. They go for it like a bunch of idiots. A lot of turnovers. I'm not sure. I just see it, and I don't know what game I'm watching. The defensive coordinators are so stupid, except for Spagnolia, maybe a couple others. They're just incredibly stupid. San Diego's got it, so there's a few teams with good defenses. Well, let's look at it. Well, we'll look better, but as of before I update the stats, Atlanta had a 15 defense and lost 30-0 to Carolina, which was just a couple of picks on Penix. Oakland and Washington with 17 defenses, and Washington scores 41 without Daniels. I don't, and it's so hard to watch on YouTube because the NFL runs it, and there's like every 3 or 4 minutes there's a commercial, and it's like a 50-second commercial. So you start watching the play, it goes for a minute, and then you get back to the game, and within 3 or 4 minutes, there's another commercial of 57 minutes. The 5-second ones you just skip, but these are all like 50 seconds. So I put in their comments, I says, oh, we need more commercials, especially longer commercials, because we don't really actually want to watch the highlights of the game. We just want to watch the commercials. What the fuck are you doing? It's insane. Tampa 29-27 over the Jets's, but a game that Tampa's got, they're up 26-20. They go for a field goal, and it gets blocked in return for a touchdown. Same thing happened in the Philly Ram game. Same thing happened in a couple other games. Is this a fix? Do we think it happened in the Cleveland Green Bay game? It's 10-0 with 4 minutes left. How does Green Bay lose the game? Cleveland gets a field goal, then they block a field goal for a touchdown, and then Green Bay is going to kick a field goal to win, and they miss, and somehow Cleveland kicks a long field goal to win. How does Green Bay wins that game 99 out of 100? They have a 10-point lead in the fourth with 4 minutes left. How do they lose? You got Micah Parsons in the defense. Something smells to high heaven there. That was a fix. Absolutely. David, they want you to buy the premium as free version. What are you talking about? YouTube? Buy the premium with no commercials. Do they even sell that still? Well, eventually I'll try to find a different channel that has the highlight. There's I think more than just the NFL that shows the highlights. Not sure. There used to be some guys that had the highlights, so I will look for them. You can go into search and say, "Give me Green Bay, Cleveland," and then it'll show you hopefully more than just the NFL network showing the highlights. It's just 15, 20 minutes, but it goes through the game. Tampa Bay 29-27. Again, bizarre. The Eagles, I don't know how they won. They were down like 21-6, 33-26 Eagles over the Rams. Jacksonville 17, Houston 10. Houston down. They're down. Oh, they're 0-2, must win, and this CJ Stroud's terrible. He doesn't know how to read, and he just, everything's an effort to get 5 yards. He's terrible. Houston just isn't that. Is Jacksonville that good? No, Trevor Lawrence, but Houston's just terrible. Carolina 30, Atlanta nothing. Oh, well, the Atlanta kicker missed 2 field goals. One looked like the wind blew it, but it's an outdoor stadium. So I know at the Giants, they used to open the door, which would make the wind blow because of the air conditioning or the heating, and nobody could make a kick because it was being blown across. But this is an outdoor stadium. I don't know what happened here, but Carolina wins 30-0. Uh, really? Is now we've got to be. Is Carolina really a better team? TJ or what is whatchamacallit, Steve Young's still terrible. He wants to run. He's just pathetic. They didn't win the game because of him, 30-0. It was their defense. So I don't know what's going on. We need more time. Again, Cleveland 13-10 on a blocked field goal. How do I start incorporating blocked field goals? So this is the third one. Tampa, Green Bay, Philadelphia. I heard there was 4 or 5 block kicks. I mean, this is ridiculous. Do they not know how to block for a field goal? One guy jumped over the center. That's not legal. So I don't know what's going on. The Colts 41-20. All right, Tennessee sucks. We know that. The Colts, Jonathan Taylor running a lot. Pittsburgh 21-14 over New England. Pittsburgh, I don't know. Drake May looks terrible. Aaron Rodgers is okay. DK Metcalf, they're not running. All New England, I saw those highlights, and all Drake May does throw to Hunter Hurst Templey, their tight end, Hunter. Well, just double team the tight end. It's not that hard, folks. Take him away, and then who's he going to throw to? Minnesota 48-10 over Cincinnati. A lot of turnovers in the game. See, there's a lot of scoring by the defense, and that's what you had here, 48-10. One guy had like 200 yards of return out. He got a fumble and he got another interception and scored 2 touchdowns. This is one of their safeties who's playing defense. So don't know where this score came from. Seattle 44-13. We know New Orleans stinks. I don't know how long he can stick with Rattler. Arnold's getting comfortable, but we know just put pressure on him and he folds. San Diego 23, Denver 20. San Diego won it at the end. Denver, Bo Nix, he wants to run a little bit too much, I think, but San Diego with the elite defense. Frisco 16, Arizona 15. 2 teams going nowhere. The Bears 31-14 over Dallas. That was our free pick, Dallas. Getting 7.5. All right. Now, we can use excuse. CeeDee Lamb gets hurt in the first quarter, which definitely hurt us. But still, where did the Bears get 31? Oh, they didn't put pressure on them. Did you not watch the Lions and the Bears or Minnesota and the Bears? How are you not putting pressure on Caleb Williams? All you got to do is blitz him and he falls apart. So Dallas doesn't blitz him. Dallas, what a terrible deal. See, when I watched the Dallas Giant game, I said, oh, Dallas is scoring. Well, they are if CeeDee Lamb plays. And then at the end of the game, there's 5 minutes left to get the ball to 1, Dallas. Why isn't Dak Prescott running and, doing one of those fakes and then he either hands it off or runs around? Doesn't do that. He throws an interception in the end zone. He threw his 2 interceptions. You think I'm joking with that? No, I'm not. He's terrible. So again, how did they lose by 17? Yeah, they're not blitzing Caleb. What is wrong with these defensive coordinators? It's just unbelievable. Finally, we get a winner on the 2-loss Chiefs. Can't afford to lose. Win 22-9. So that actually was right, and KC did play. So here's my picks. So I start off with Atlanta, even, going against Steve Young. They lose. Green Bay was one of my locks with Dallas. So it was a Dallas-Green Bay lock. Green Bay minus 1.5. They got a 10-0 lead. It's 10-3. They're even lining up to win 13-10, and it's just unbelievable how they lost that game. What are they thinking? Jordan Love's terrible. See, this is the problem with Jordan Love. He looks good. Then he gets into a game like this. He looks like shit. Myles Garrett, okay, had a decent day, but, so this was lock number 1 with Dallas, lock number 2. So those 2 go to shit. Minnesota 48-10. I don't play it. I avoid the LA Philly game. I avoid the Pitt New England. I do have Tampa. Tampa's lock number 3, and I should have had no problem. They were up big. They're dominating the game. Then they get a punt blocked or a field goal blocked and returned for a touchdown. The next thing you know, I'm losing 27-26. But Baker drove me back, and this time he hits the field goal. The other time he got blocked for a touchdown. I mean, this is insane. All this happening on the same week. What's going on here? So lock number 3 wins, and lock number 3 is with lock number 4, Houston, in 7.5. They couldn't go. They're 0-2. They're playing a weak Jacksonville team. CJ Stroud's terrible. I mean, they scored 10 points on Jacksonville, who doesn't. Jacksonville's got a 21 defense. At least they did. Now it'll be like a 20 now. But Houston does cover for me, getting 7.5. So that was the one lock that win. Tampa and Houston wins. The Dallas, Green Bay, I still don't know how Dallas gets blown out by the Bears. My other play was under in the Denver, San Diego. It was under 52. And San Diego wins 23-20, a 43. That was an easy one. After, you always say to yourself, well, why didn't I lock that instead of, well, I can see locking Green Bay, but Dallas, I don't know how I couldn't have played that. I'm betting against Caleb, who's terrible. I think about playing Seattle, but I don't. They win 44-13. Dallas, I lose on. I don't play Arizona, and I do play KC, and I do have tonight's game. So I play KC, getting a half a point over the Giants. I figure Mahomes is going to have a huge day. He struggles. Then he comes out in the second half, and it almost looked like the real Kansas City team. So it only took him 3 weeks to finally play. Kelsey actually made a few catches. He looks like shit. He's done. All right. So I go 0-1, 0-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. If I win tonight, 5-3. Terrible week. But that's my terrible week. 5-3, 1 lock wins, 1 lock loses. So that washes out. Week 4. Now, these are my lines. Let's look ahead. So what have we learned? We didn't learn. I have no idea what I learned. I learned that the defensive coordinators are a bunch of idiots, that, some of these, they're all running, looks like the Lions plays, all these little misdirection, laterals and things, all these little throw a play action pass, I fake it running and then I play action it. I'm seeing a lot more like Lion offense that every team's using now, which is going to water down the Lions and every other team. I see extremely bad defense, very weak tackling. Field goals get returned for touchdowns all in the same day. What was that? What did Don Corleone say? Hey, Cleveland, okay, no, we got to let them block the kick and run it back for a touchdown because there's a lot of money on Green Bay. We got to let Cleveland win. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like. Love does shit. They're not running. They're big running back. Love threw. It's 10-3. 3 minutes left in the game. Love throws an interception right to the linebacker. So they got the ball like their own 15 or 20. You've got a 7-point lead. Just run and run and run. No, he throws a pass. There's not a Green Bay guy within 20 yards of it. He throws it right to the cornerback. And then Cleveland goes down and ties the game up. And you're like, what the fuck was that? There was no Green Bay guy with, like I said, in 20. So this is why I don't like Jordan Love. I don't like Darnold when he gets blitzed. You're going to see the same thing with Golf tonight. He's going to choke it as soon as Baltimore puts the pressure on. Baltimore will put pressure on them. Denver does. San Diego does. Kansas City does. Those are the only teams you can bet on because You can't bet. See, where this was a tough week is I had the Rams playing Philly. Instead of in separate games, I could bet them both, but I couldn't really bet them. San Diego, Denver, again, I couldn't really, I would have taken Denver as the dog. I did salvage the under in the game. But when you got these teams playing each other, it's like Kansas City plays the Giants. We could bet on Kansas City. Green Bay, Cleveland. You made Cleveland. How does Cleveland win that game? Cleveland doesn't win that game in 100 chances. Micah Parsons, I don't know. He didn't play. I think what happens when they go on the road, they're not. I preached about this yesterday, that why are we betting on Houston and KC? Because they're 0-2. And they can't afford to go 0-3, so they'll be fired up. And that's what we want to bet on. That's why we bet revenge games. That's why we bet games where the team needs it to make the playoffs and all this, if they're capable. But Green Bay was flat. They should have. Baltimore off the loss killed Cleveland, and yet Green Bay with the similar offense does it fall apart. This is why Jordan Love choke. And you got a lot of that. So let's look. So who's off of a loss this week? Well, we know Green Bay is. We start off with Seattle, Arizona. This is my line. I haven't looked at the lines. I don't want anything to do with the lines yet. I can't even really run my stats till after tonight's game. So tomorrow morning, I will run my stats. Seattle's at Arizona Thursday night. I like Arizona -3 because it's a short week. It's a Thursday. We don't want to get anybody hurt on the kickoff, but we'll get them all hurt on these short weeks. From Ireland. Why are we going to Ireland? Minnesota and Pittsburgh. And then apparently they're going the next week to London. I think it's Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy. So they'll go to play Pitt in Ireland, and then they're going to play a game in in London. The next game they play, we'll be betting heavily against because they'll be exhausted from all the time change and jet plane and the jet lag. I got Pitt -3 over Minnesota. I don't like Minnesota. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz didn't do anything. They might have scored 40 points. What was it? Minnesota wins 48-10. And Carson Wentz was probably 5 of 10 for 50 yards. It was a lot of their defense. And they got rid of J.J. McCarthy. Philly, now we go to Sunday afternoon. Philly at Tampa, a very good game. I got Philly -7. You're going to make Philly the favorite. Again, you're kind of screwed. You can't bet Tampa, who we won with, we locked. And do you really play Philly? Tough game here. New Orleans goes to Buffalo. I got Buffalo -14. Buffalo's going to kill them. Carolina, New England. I got New England -3, which they're a weak favorite. Carolina, I don't know if I can trust them. They did get the win, but it was a joke. Are we noticing the refs calling penalties every play? I was watching, what was the game? The Kansas City Giant game is I know the referee's face is etched in my mind. Way too many penalties. There's pass interference. Anytime a guy falls, pass interference. Did he really get interfered with, or maybe he just tripped on his own and drew the penalty? A lot of receivers and a lot of linemen will just fall down, and they'll think it's holding. So I'm noticing way too many penalties. This is ridiculous. You're killing the game, and a lot of the bailouts. It'll be 4th and 10, and you'll call a very questionable pass interference call, and you're bailing the team out. And it was a penalty. No, you don't call it at 4th and 10 or 4th and 20 or whatever. No, you don't bail them out. They got to complete it. All right. Washington, Atlanta. Will Daniels be back? Now Penix. Did Penix get hurt? I think he did. I think he tried to trip somebody on one of his pick. He might have hurt his foot, so we'll have to see. Because I saw Cousins is in there, and they're not going back to Cousins. So we'll see what's going on there. So it's going to be Daniels against Penix or whatever. Cleveland, Detroit. I got Detroit -10. I don't know this would be that easy. You still have whatchamacallit. I keep wanting to call Miles Garrett. I keep wanting to call him McGriff or something. So you still have Miles Garrett and a pretty good defense. And here's Detroit. So I got Detroit 10 over Cleveland. But we got to see how many injuries they get tonight, how many hamstrings and stuff, because they're not ready. I got Houston 7 over Tennessee. Just Tennessee's bad again. Houston's 0-3. They must win. And Tennessee's terrible. San Diego and the Giants. I got San Diego 7 over the Giants. San Diego, very good. The Giants looked like shit yesterday. Jacksonville and the Niners. I got the Niners 3. This is pretty even game, but we'll see if Jones looked okay. They got 16 points on Arizona. We'll see. The Rams 7 over Indy. Indy's playing nice. The Rams, now they lost to Philly. I don't know how. They were way up. This is a good game here. I like I think the Rams should win it, but I don't know. Chicago, Oakland. I got Oakland laying 3 to the Bears. Do we really believe the Bears are good, or are we going to see Oakland blitz them all game and shut down that? And I don't know. Kansas City, Baltimore, the game of the day. I got KC 3 over Baltimore just because they're at home. We'll know more after tonight if Baltimore got injuries. But right now, KC got their stride. I don't know. Maybe Baltimore's favored. This is my line. Green Bay and Dallas. I got Green Bay 7 over Dallas. Dallas has no defense. CeeDee Lamb, how much is he injured? Micah Parsons should have a big day. But these coaches, Dallas did not pressure Caleb. So Love's going to have all day, even though he stinks. I don't know. These coaches are so bad. Miami and the Jets. I got Miami 3 over the Jets. Why is this Sunday night? Really? This is your Sunday night game? Well, we have to be fair and have everybody on Sunday night. Okay. So Miami and the Jets, just pathetic. And then Denver, Cincinnati is the Monday night game. You can't take Cincinnati. This would have been a great game with Burrow. But without Denver off of a loss, maybe they get it going. The defenses are just a stupid zone, and there's nothing there. So that's next week's lineup. Now I will bring in the stats and try to grade the teams. The grading of the teams should be in now week 4. We should have a fairly decent grade. We have to figure out Indy with Daniel Jones. Really, we have to figure out Jacksonville, Carolina. What are they, right? We're still looking at last year. The bet with Atlanta over Carolina was based on Carolina stinks because that's what they did last year. Do they still stink? I don't know. Maybe they've moved up from a Z team to an E team. And that's really what I have to do. So a lot of the defenses are terrible. The defensive coordinators are terrible. The offensive coaches are terrible. They're all running these little reverse, this little Lions pack. Oh, it's 4th down. We got to go for it. But then Dallas at the 1-yard line late in the game should have ran Dak Prescott in, and they don't run him. Instead, he throws an interception at the 1-yard line. Why didn't you run it in? They didn't even try to run it. You're down 17, so you go down 10, and then you kick a field goal. We win. We're getting 7.5. Couldn't understand that. They're making Caleb look like a NFL player because you're not blitzing. Why aren't you blitzing? What the fuck? Okay, and yes, we lost CeeDee Lamb opening, but that happens. That's not why we lost. We gave up 31 points. That's why we lost to Caleb, which is very insulting. Okay, again, college, my lines. But now I brought in the data and now I've graded the teams. So let's see how I've graded the teams. I have Z teams winning last week. So did I fuck up on that? And they're not really Z teams, or they are Z teams, but the other team is pretty bad. So let's go. Thursday night, Army against East Car. Army is an over team, 32 defense, and East Car is a B team with a 15. I got E Car -7. Florida State, Virginia, both are A teams. Virginia's very explosive with my quarterback. Florida State hasn't really played anybody. They did beat Alabama, and since then they haven't played anybody. They're a road favorite. So this is where it's difficult for these teams is when they go on the road and they're a favorite. Like they're just going to blow them out. There's a big difference at home and the road. Florida State should have a harder time at Virginia, who's going to score on them. They haven't seen a quarterback like this guy because Alabama's quarterback sucked in that first week, and Alabama couldn't stop the quarterback from running. Well, okay, that's out there. Is that going to be the same with Virginia? So this is Friday. TCU, Arizona State, A against A. My line's Arizona State -3. They both have 20 defenses. We know how explosive TCU is. Arizona State held Baylor pretty good, but it was mostly because Arizona State ball controlled it, not because of their defense. And I don't have the totals filled in, but TCU I like playing over most of the time. Houston, Oregon State. I got Houston -14. They're the A team, very strong defense, a 9. Oregon State's a Z team with the 39. So, I'm hoping 14. It'll probably be 25, but I'm hoping it's only 14. It is on the road, so we'll see. Then we go to Saturday. We got Bowling Green and Ohio. Bowling Green and under, Ohio and over. My guess is Ohio -7. Probably a little bit more Ohio at home, and they did beat West Virginia. Notre Dame, Arkansas, both teams are over. Notre Dame with a 33 defense. So they are scoring, but their defense sucks. Even Purdue lit them up for 30-some points. I'm a little bit disappointed I missed that over, but I had that over when USC played Purdue, and I missed it by a point. And so I didn't know what to do. And then Notre Dame lights them up. And again, that's an easy over. That's the way the weekend went. The easy overs, the games that you should have had. Now, I did have Vandy in Virginia, but some of the games you should have, you just didn't. You missed Kansas and Missouri. But then some of the games you played, well, I mean, I went over that in the pool yesterday, and I go, I was like 9-5, and I look at the 5 losers, and I go, well, Michigan under was a good play, and Rutgers should have been fine. They throw a late interception that they actually score a touchdown on. I said, okay, the Illinois game I couldn't have gotten away, but that one bothers me. Why the money went on Indiana, and it went from 4 to 6.5, and then they blow them out. Okay, that smells really bad because Illinois is a 3-point favorite over Illinois. Indiana is a 3-point favorite over Illinois, not a 7, and then they win by 50. Something smells. That was a fixed game. And then Utah over. I thought Dampier was a better quarterback than he is. Maybe he is. I don't know. I got to watch the film on that one. And there was one other game. And really, I would have played Michigan, Nebraska under every time. I would have probably played Rutgers, Iowa. You asked me about Iowa's quarterback. He's okay. He's nothing special. His running wasn't like a Lamar or something as a runner. I'll take the kid at Washington as a much better runner than him, or Dampier is a better runner. So I don't know, but of the 5 I lost, I don't. Rutgers, Michigan under, Illinois. I don't know how I could have got away from those. Now maybe I instead of playing Illinois, Indiana, I go to Kansas or Missouri and play that or that. There was some Z teams that won, which I almost played. I did. I played Toledo. That was my other one. I played Toledo against the Z team. Toledo, who had killed Western Kentucky and plays pretty well. They played Kentucky pretty well, and they lose to, I think it was Western Michigan, who doesn't score. And I'm like, again, a road team. That one I could have probably got away. I bet it because of the Z team betting on. Let's see. So Notre Dame, Arkansas, they're both over teams. Should be high scoring. We'll hope anything in the 50s we'll bet over on it. I only put the line and I didn't put the total. Louisville and Pitt, both A teams. I got Pitt -3 because they're at home. Duke and Syracuse. I got Syracuse -7. They got a good quarterback. Duke is a very good. So I like this game over, depending on the line and or. So don't say, "Oh, that's my pick," and go bet the over. I don't know what the over is yet. These look like over teams playing Duke and Syracuse. Duke can score, and they got a 32 defense, and Syracuse is 28, and they can score. So we're looking at 60 points here. We don't know what the line is yet, which is why I bet some of these games today, because I know where I'm going. I'm going over if I get the right number. It's always about what the right number is. Georgia Tech, an A team against Wake Forest, and E. We like our Georgia Tech. They're laying. I got laying 21 because the game's at Wake Forest. Rutgers, Minnesota. I got Minnesota -4. Rutgers really played well, but their defense is not what it used to be, and neither is Iowa's. So I don't know that's the changes that we have to see. Is Shiano always had this strong defense for Rutgers. He doesn't have it this year. So we'll see. Minnesota does have a strong defense. Cincinnati and Kansas. Kansas, the A team. Cincinnati, a B. I got Kansas -10. I love Kansas this year. North Texas, an A team against South Alabama, an over team. South Alabama with the 30 defense. North Texas with the 19. I got North Texas -7 and what should be high scoring. Kansas State, UCF. Kansas State's an E team. UCF's a B. I don't know what UCF's played. They haven't played anybody yet. They got an 8 defense. That's not real. And Kansas State's a 26, who's already lost to the Army, and they lost one other game. So I got Kansas State -3, but I don't know who UCF is yet. USC and Illinois, very good game. USC an A team, good quarterback, decent defense, although Michigan State lit them up pretty good. Illinois an E team. I don't know. Illinois, after getting the shit beat out of them, I don't know. Here comes USC. There is travel. I have USC -7. Will the real Illinois stand up? Because they played pretty good, but again, they beat Duke and one other team. So they didn't really beat Michigan or Ohio State. Here they get USC, who I think is the best team in the Big Ten with Washington. So we'll see. Vanderbilt, an A team against Utah State's an over team. 24 defense, Utah State, Vandy at 13. I got Vandy -24 with Daggio. They're going to light up Utah State here. Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan. Now, here's my point. Central lost 73-3 to Michigan, and then they won last week, I believe. So now they're a W team. Eastern's an over team with a 40 defense. Central's got a 33 defense, but a little bit is Michigan's putting up 70 points. Again, gets divided by 4. So Central I got as a 3-point favorite over Eastern. James Madison and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, an over team, terrible defense. James Madison is a B team with the 17 defense. I got James Madison at home laying 7. Arkansas State and Lou Monroe. Arkansas State's a W. Lou Monroe's a Z. I got Lou Monroe -3. They both have 33 defenses. However, neither team has an offense, so we will see how that unfolds. Akron and Toledo. Now, Toledo at home, off of the loss, they'll be angry and they can do something. Akron's a W team with a 29 defense. I got Toledo -17. Again, these are my lines, not the official ones, and my lines are usually better. I mean, if we can get Toledo under 7, this is a joke because Akron really can't do anything. They're a bad offense, and they just got murdered by somebody last week. Who did Akron? Arkansas, Akron. I mean, they got buried. Florida State beat Kent. Akron. I don't know, but they got killed. Anyway, so I got Toledo -17 there. Utah, West Virginia. Utah, after a very embarrassing loss. Is Texas Tech really that good? I got to watch those highlights. Problem is, I got to get in the mood to sit through a commercial every 5 seconds. West Virginia's they beat Pitt and they got killed by Kansas. W team, Utah's a B team. I got West Virginia -3. I'm praying. Utah will probably be. Let's change this to Utah -7. I think that'll probably be more accurate. West Virginia likes to run. They ain't running on Utah. And let's see Devin Dampier if he's good, bad, or ugly. San Diego State, a B team against Northern Illinois, a under team at Northern Illinois. I got San Diego State -4. Cal and BC, Cal an even team with a 16 defense, BC an over team with a 27. Because Cal has to travel to the coast again, so this is the third time we had Boston College traveling to Stanford and they lost. We had Stanford travel to Virginia and Virginia killed them. And now we have Cal traveling to Boston College. Again, this travel coast to coast is a joke. BC -7. Only because Cal has to travel. Cal is probably the better team. They got a better defense. Connecticut goes to Buffalo. Buffalo, a B team. Connecticut an over. I got Buffalo -3. Indy, Iowa, very good game. I don't know. Indy just murdered Illinois. How serious are you going to get up for Iowa? I don't know. I love their coach. They're both A teams. They both have strong defenses. I got Indy -7. If you give me Indy as a dog, I'm gonna bet a lot on it. UCLA, a Z team against Northwestern, an under team. Again, UCLA has to travel to Illinois from California. I got Northwestern -3. Both these teams suck. Rice and the Navy. The Navy's an A team. Rice is an under team, like the Navy here. I got Navy -14. Baylor, Oak State. Baylor got kind of fucked against Arizona State. Oklahoma State's a Z team, Baylor an over team. Look for Baylor to really let it fly. They're laying, I got -17. Oak State's defense is a 31, so Baylor should have a big day. See, that's what you look at. Baylor against Arizona State, Robertson had a decent day because they have a decent defense. But now you're going against a weak defense. They should have it. And that was my KC theory yesterday is fucking Dallas lit up the Giants. Mahomes should light up the Giants, and yet he really didn't. Kelsey again sleeping through the game. LSU, Ole Miss. There you go, Bobby. LSU, an under team. They don't score. They got a good defense, a 9. Old Miss, an A team with a 19 defense. They always score against these shit teams, but okay, they lit up to Tulane. I guarantee you they will not light up LSU. I got Old Miss because they're at home -3. Maybe it's a -6. Auburn and A&M. Auburn played Oklahoma fairly well. A B team, A&M, an over team. Did go into Notre Dame and win. I got A&M -7. Ohio State, Washington. Both are A teams. The game's in Washington. Ohio State with a 5 defense. Haven't played anybody yet. Washington with an 18 defense. Now, we know the line on this. We saw it's Ohio State -10. I think Washington can play with them. We'll see. Hawaii and the Air Force. Hawaii an under team. The Air Force an over team. Their defense is gone. 37 defense. Boise put up a 10 on them. I got an Air Force -14. New Mexico and New Mexico State. New Mexico, I like their coach. They've been playing fairly well. They played Michigan fairly well. New Mexico State's an under team. New Mexico's a B team. I got New Mexico -10 at home. Mr. Weiss, 3,844 today. Let's go. What does 44 today mean? So you're going to win 3,800? But what does the 44 mean? So, yeah, I think we're on the right side. I'd be shocked. Oh, you're talking that. Yes. Well, put it this way. Soon silver will be 50 and soon gold will be 5,000. So we're what? We're in the middle of September. I would say by, let's say, Thanksgiving, silver will be 100 and gold will be probably 41, 4,200. There really is no stopping them now because they can't short it. It's gone too high. Nobody in their right mind is going to short gold and silver with the options to keep the price down. There's the cat's out of the bag. It's like you made chocolate chip cookies and we can smell them. We know you've made chocolate chip cookies. So it really, you just scratch your head. Like, why are you lowering gold and silver to try to keep the price down when we see what it's at? So, yeah, I mean, just figure gold 5,000, silver 500. Silver will, once it breaks 50, will zoom to 100 because people will realize they've been made off because this $50 silver price is never real. People will be a little leery. Oh, it's been 50 before and then went down to 10. So they're going to play that bullshit game. That's the paper game. We're not in the paper world anymore. We're in the physical world. And in the physical world, once silver hits 50, it doesn't go down. It keeps going up. And as all these countries are going broke. So I watched the video. You've got the newest one is France is broke. I've shown you Germany. I've shown you the UK. They're all broke. Well, if you live there, what are you doing? You're buying gold and silver. You don't want to hold the monopoly money anymore. You got to get out of this into gold and silver. Certainly you're getting out of this into gold and silver, and that's all of Europe. But most of Europe is smart. They understand gold, especially the Germans after what happened with 1923 and what happened with Hitler. Believe me, they are buying gold, as are the Italians. And I'm not sure if the French are smart enough or the UK. Apparently, there was a 1 million person protest to get Starmer out. They do not want these leaders are a bunch of idiots, so they're trying to get them out because they're killing them. They're all the dollars are gone and they're all bankrupt and everybody's out of a job and there's no pension. They're all broke, and then they're like, "Why are we got this idiot in the office? Let's get rid of him." They need me to run everything and just buy gold. But I believe it's a George Soros is behind it all, and he wants everything to go broke, and he bets against it, and he'll make money. But what money is he using? Oh, yeah, probably dollars. This is not high, Ron, and yes, I buy at every opportunity. I bought 9 ounces of silver on Friday, and he only charged me 44. It's close to 43, and he charged me 44. So he didn't even charge me two. And then we talked about if I need to sell any at gold. He says no 1099. So if you need to sell, come to me and we'll go him, and you won't get 1099. He's at this point 97% for an eagle. So at 4,000, I figured it out. You're at like 38.90 to get the. That's what he'll give you. So in other words, he's like taking 100 when you sell to him, and he's charging you 100 when you buy from him. Now we can go on eBay and try to sell it, but then you're probably looking at 1099s, and you're probably, who knows what the commission of eBay is. So if I got a $4,000, okay, I'll mark it. So let's say right now gold's at what 37 and change. So I probably, well, let's see. We'll get back to football in a minute. So gold just jumped again, 37.37. Again, this is spot. Silver, it's gonna be 44 by the end of the day. eBay sucks you dry. I'm sure it does. That's your option. Or you sell it to the store. So if we go to eBay, so 1 ounce gold coin. So you're looking at 3,900. Even though it's 37.30, they're asking for 3,900. Now they got to pay the commission, and then you got to ship it, and I'm sure you're insuring it because it's gold, and you don't want somebody say I didn't get it, and then you got to replace the $3,900 item. So there's shipping with insurance, and the eBay charge probably puts you back at 3,700. Or I can go to my guy's store, and at this price, I pay a 3% fee, which is what I pay on PayPal. I pay the 3% fee, and I figured at 4,000, I get 38.90. So, okay, I lose 100. Fine. I paid 1,700 for it. Am I really upset? No, because I can get it, and I don't have to pay 1099, which is then the $100. Where if you were 1099 would have to pay the tax, you don't have to pay it here. So that's the other point. He says he doesn't believe in it. I says, I don't either. I think in the whole thing that they make gold a collectible. In what world is it a collectible? The mantle's a collectible, the Joe Montana, but gold is not a collectible. I'm buying this year's gold or whatever year he's got. He didn't have gold, Ron. So I went in Friday, and you go to his case. He's got a glass case. He's got silver. He had nothing in his gold case. He says, I haven't had it in a week. What do you mean you haven't? People aren't. What he does is if you came in and sold 2 ounces of gold, he then puts that 2 ounces on sale, and then I can come in and buy it. And then I give him $100 premium, and he steals the 100 coming in. So he makes $200 on something that runs up $200 a day. So he, that's what he does. And I've never seen him. I've been going there, at least 5 years, and I did not see any gold at all. He says, oh, I can get 10 ounces in, but they're a little bit leery to do it at this price. Gold and silver is never outpriced. We don't know the real price of gold and silver, so don't ever think it's outpriced. If you want, get a 1/4 ounce. If you want, get a 1/2 ounce of gold. If you can't afford the full ounce, or buy a bunch of silver. Silver is a joke at $43. You'll pay $45. It's a joke. I mean, it's $1,000 item. That's why I'm so happy when I leave. I just bought $1,000 ounce of silver for $40. Where else can you find these profits? I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, that's it now, and we know where we can sell it with no 1099 and 97%. Now, as the shit really starts hitting the fan and everybody realizes this is worthless and everybody realizes this is worthless, the demand for gold will be huge. He might not do 97% and 95%. 95 is the coup grand, the maple leaf. He might just do spot or over spot because he'll need inventory. And yeah, I don't need to sell it, but if I do, at least if I get spot for it, so if it's $5,000 and he doesn't hit me on the 97%, he says, I'll give you spot. I'll pay over spot. I'll pay spot plus 20. So that's where it's headed because there is no more gold. It's gone, right? Yeah, the treasury probably has some. There's not much. And China's got 70,000 tons sitting in China. They're not letting it go. So there's not, and apparently we were talking about that because he had bought pandas and he was worried at 2,600. I says, what are you worried about? This thing's going to the moon. And so he said what they do in China is they melt it into jewelry. So they'll make jewelry. Now, I know the Indians, people in India, it's mostly 22 or 24 karat, so it's fine. This is 1 ounce, but because it's 18 karat, it's take 3,700 times it by 0.75, and that's what this is worth. In India, it's 24, 22 karat. It's hard to do 24 because you got to melt it and shape it, but they do 22. So a 1 ounce gold chain is worth 1 ounce of gold. So they do a lot of that in China and in India. Pat can tell you in Singapore, it's a lot of jewelry, but it's an ounce is an ounce. Because this is 18 ounce and they even have the 14 ounce, be very careful what you buy. I don't know if I'd recommend 14 ounce gold. Bring your magnet. If it sticks to it, run out of the store because it's phony. The magnet will determine if it's real. I put a magnet to this, it doesn't stick, it's real, which I knew anyway. But if the magnet sticks to the gold or silver or the gold chains or gold bracelets, it's not real. That's as simple as you just bring a magnet in. Now you want to take it to a machine if he's got one. If he doesn't have one, run out of the store either way. But that's really so for him to not have gold could get us. I I want to talk to that person, but I'm gonna right now. I'm in class, so that's where it's headed. It's going to be very limited gold because it's very limited, and there's huge demand. And the demand from Europe and the U.S. people figuring out they need gold will make it. Well, there isn't any, and so that'll drive up his. He'll take the 97% off and start going. Yeah. I'll just do it. What spot's going to be at? Because, like I said, when we get done, spot will be 20, 30,000 once we get to a physical market, which is what we have. Yes, he had zero gold, which he's never had. I've shown you pictures of it. Let me show you a picture. Hmm. So this is what it used to look like. We'd have his ounces and his halves and his little thing. He doesn't have any. It was totally empty. He did have his bin of silver. Oh well, whatever. He did have the silver, and I got 9 ounces. It was pretty nice. It was nice and 9.99 1 ounce. I think I got some JFKs and some other Liberty. They're just bullion. They're not the $1 coins, but I don't care about that. I'm buying an ounce of silver. So be very careful. You don't want to pay for proofs. You don't want to pay for older coins or graded ones because we're just trying to buy silver. We're trying to buy an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold. We don't need a collectible. We're not trying because then are you going to get the value for it? You're going to pay more. I just want to pay $44 for an ounce of silver and then watch when silver goes to 500. I don't need to pay $200 because it's a 1935 Mercury dime. That's a MS 68, and because that's then now you're getting value in it that you might not want. But yeah, he had 0 gold. All right, so let's get back to football. All right, where was I? I think New Mexico. So Tulane and Tulsa. Tulane an over team. Tulsa an under. I got Tulane -10 off of this loss to Ole Miss. They should play pretty good. Tennessee and Old Mississippi State. Games in Old Mississippi State. Tennessee, a very strong offense, and Mississippi State is a B team. Tennessee's just got their heart ripped out with the kid missing the field goal against Georgia. That guy should just go home because he's not, he's in big trouble. So I got Tennessee -10, but Old Mississippi State's been playing pretty well. Liberty and Old D and A team, Liberty and under team. I got Old D at home -10. Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee's a Z team. Kennesaw State's a W. I got them -7 just because they're at home. Memphis, Florida Atlantic. Memphis and A, Florida Atlantic and over. I got Memphis -10. They just had a good win last week, beating somebody. They beat Arkansas 32-31. Virginia Tech, NC State. Virginia Tech, Drones stinks. They're a W team. NC State and over. I got NC State -7. Southern Miss over team against Jacksonville State, a W. I got Southern Miss at home -7. The Marshall South. Arizona and Iowa State, dead even game. Both A teams. I got Iowa State -7 at home. That's what you see in the Big 12. Most of those games are pretty even. You want the dog in a lot of them. Western Kentucky and over against Missouri State, not Mississippi State. I got Western Kentucky -14. Very explosive team, but now they got to go on the road. We'll see how good Missouri State is. App State against Boise. App State and under, Boise and over. I got Boise -17. San Jose State and Stanford. Both teams are W. I got Stanford at home -3. Both teams are pretty bad. UMass and Missouri. UMass is Z team with the 40 defense. Missouri's great. An A team. I think I know the spread was 40. Missouri -40 over UMass. And Washington State, Colorado State. Washington State's a W. Colorado State an under. And I got Washington State -3, but I don't like them either. Oregon and Penn State, very good game at Penn State. Both are A teams, although I question Penn State being an A team. They haven't played anybody. Oregon, okay, they killed Oregon State, who's terrible. I got Penn State -7. Oregon, not as good on the road. Their quarterback is questionable. He sucked at UCLA. We'll see. Alabama and Georgia. Alabama, they're probably both A teams or B teams. Georgia, the defense looked a little suspect against Tennessee, but their offense did a lot. I got Georgia -3, and I think the real spread's -4, but my spread would be -3. Kentucky, South Carolina. Kentucky, an even team. South Carolina, an under team. Norris did play. They lost 29-20 to Missouri, which pissed me off because I like Missouri. They were laying 9 in a teaser 3. South Carolina, I got 6 over Kentucky with Sellers back, their quarterback, but he hasn't done anything. They only got 264 yards of offense. Marshall against Lou Lafayette. Lou Lafayette doesn't have their quarterback. Marshall, an E team. Lou Laf, a W. I got Marshall -3, and I don't like them as a favorite. LTech and UTEP. LTech, a B team. UTEP, an E team. LTech, a little bit better defensively, 14 versus 26. I got LTech -4. In our last game, BYU, Colorado. BYU, an A team with a 5 defense. Had them under last week, and that actually one of my winners. Colorado, an E team with the 22 defense. BYU is just going to smother them. I got BYU -7 because it's at Colorado and it's prime. Now, why do I do this? Because when I get the real line, let's say I got Penn State 7 over Oregon. That's what I think the line should be, not what I think the score should be. Sometimes it's what I think who's going to win. In this case, I'm going, well, Penn State at home, let's make them 7. But if we get Oregon -4, then I'll take Penn State in 10 because the line to me is off. It's a bad line. So that's why I do it. And then I'll look at the line here. So again, what did we saw? Where did we get, let's say, tricked? Well, Toledo Western, I have Western as a Z team. They win 14-13. Well, Z team with the 31 defense does not hold a good team like Toledo to 13. Now, what do you have? You have turnovers. The refs are calling way too many penalties. It's a big hit. He's out of bounds. No, it's football. He hit him. Okay. And that's the problem with it. Where else do we get? UConn. We didn't play UConn against Ball State. UConn explosive. Ball State's a Z team, and it's 31-25 UConn. What the fuck happened there? UConn was laying 21, and they win by 6. Michigan, Nebraska. How did they get 30-27? Well, I know there was a Hail Mary and a couple of long runs by Michigan. So Nebraska, with their 8 defense, is not real. And Michigan, their 14 defense isn't real. They haven't played anybody, and therefore their stats look better. This is why we wait a few weeks. This is why we take out the high school teams, because when they win 62-0, it skews their stats. If we're going to handicap and forecast using these stats, we have to look at it and go, well, wait, are these stats real? The stats get real later on, because then you're playing A teams, Georgia and Alabama. Well, that's going to clean up their stats real quick, because we know they play these high school games and they win 62-0. Makes their stats look better. But once you start playing Georgia and Missouri and Mississippi and Tennessee, now we look at those 5 games and then we do the stats based on those 5 games, not the whole slate. So we're pretty good about that. Vandy against Georgia State should have been a big lock. I did play it in 2 teasers. Vandy laid 26 and they won 70-21 with Daggio. That's what you're looking now. That was a Z team that played like a Z team, and Vandy played like Vandy. They had the quarterback, which is why we look at the quarterback. Washington State. Again, the same thing. That should have been a lock, Washington, Vandy. I mean, USC, I played hard. They covered. Michigan State scored 31. Now, what happened? Did USC's defense was a 16, really not. Was Michigan State's offense, who's not really good, get better? What happened in that game so we can look at it going forward? Virginia, Stanford, that was the East Coast thing. And yes, they won 48-20. Baylor, Arizona State. Again, Arizona State more ball control them. They won 27-24. Illinois, Indiana, what happened? Could we have foreseen this? Never. And again, the line went from 4 to 6.5. I don't know. I don't know as an injury. Both teams had 7 defenses, but they really didn't play. This was just a scratch your head. 63-10 Indiana. I would have taken Indiana even if I thought they were that much stronger than Illinois, but I thought Illinois was stronger. So again, maybe it goes to the coach, and Indiana's got a great coach, I know. BYU, East Carolina, I played this game under 56, and it was 34-13. That's why I played totals, because I know BYU's got a strong defense. So where else? Western Kentucky, Nevada. I called it, but I didn't bet it because I had enough bets. But they were Nevada was a W team, and Western Kentucky won 31-16, and you could have laid 2. But then South Alabama, an over team against Coastal Carolina, a Z team, and Coastal Carolina puts up 38 points. South Alabama only 20. So what happened in that game? How did we screw up Coastal Carolina into being a Z team with the 29 defense, and they scored 38, and South Alabama, a high-scoring team, only gets 20 on this weak defense? Did they switch quarterbacks? That's what happens sometimes. All of a sudden, quarterback gets injured, they bring in the second teamer, and he lights it up, and you're caught like, oh, fuck, I didn't know the backup. Why is he the backup if he's better than the starter? Georgia Tech killing Temple. I was a little nervous because Temple, really, you needed the teaser. They were laying 24. They win by 21. So Temple is a pretty good team with the Sam Houston coach. Georgia Tech, we know they're a strong run team. Anyway, that's just examples. Notre Dame 56, Purdue 30. Notre Dame, who supposedly has this great defense, I don't know where it's hiding. So now I have filled in my team. So I gave you, Alabama, Georgia, an A and an over, and Marshall's an E team, Lou Lafayette's a W team. So all those are current. I have not taken the high school games out of them at this point. Just way too much. I do go through when I look at the teams. I go and see the team. So when I look at on Scores and Odds, I can drill into who did Illinois play and see the real games they played and throw out the high school team that way. And then I kind of mentally go, oh, okay, yeah, my number has the high school team in it. So I note that, and I do change most of what I'm looking for. Like this week, let's see, Western Kentucky plays Missouri State. Western Kentucky, a very good offense and good quarterback, and Missouri State's got a 33 defense. That's why I'm doing it, because then the Western Kentucky team should be able to move the ball, and since they have a good offense and a good quarterback, should be able to move the ball well on Missouri State. Now, I know in Missouri State, and this is what you got to be careful with, 33 points a game, but they gave up 7 to USC in the first week. So wait a minute. If we pull that, no, do we pull the 70 out? It was USC. But if we do, if it's a conference game, they're probably not a 33 defense. They might be a 28 defense. And as you get more games in, then there's more stats, and then it kind of evens out to where they should be. So, yeah, let's take that off. But on the other hand, you go, well, wait, Western Kentucky's a lot like USC. They got a good quarterback and a good passing offense, so they might lay 70 points on them. So you kind of want to keep it up in there. So you got good games: Ohio State, Washington, and Oregon, Penn State. Penn State hasn't played anybody. We don't know who they are. Ohio State beat a weak Texas team, so we don't really know who they are. They play the Texas, and then they get a bye. Then they play a high school team. They play Grambling. Then they play a weak MAC team. And like, how are you supposed to figure out Ohio State? Michigan at least played Oklahoma and Nebraska, and you can see that. But that's what happens with it. So that's college football. Again, Utah, very disappointing last week. I got to watch that game. Is Texas Tech this incredible defensive team and a pretty good offense? If they are, then we're going to be betting the shit out of them. They're off this week. I thought I knew Utah what they were. Notre Dame, we're seeing, is not as strong offensively. Georgia Tech, Wake, Kansas, North Texas, South Alabama. So what we're trying to do is figure out the team. And then we're trying to avoid, like I said, I looked at the games I picked and lost, and I looked at the teams I picked and won. I won Vandy. I won Virginia. I won the BYU under. I won with Auburn. I won with Baylor. And I'm looking at, okay, why did I lose? And could I have gotten rid of them? And of the games I lost, I don't think I could have got rid of Rutgers as a home dog, the Michigan, Nebraska under, the Illinois. I don't think I could have got away from it. And the Utah over, I could have got away with. That's probably the worst pick. I really didn't. I kind of wanted to play Utah, and I said, no, I got to be careful. So I went over. Why didn't I go under? I don't know. I thought Dampier would get me more points. Texas Tech did score 34, so I wasn't that far off. It was, where did Utah go? And so that's what you're trying to do. So all of the games I lost, okay, I could have maybe got rid of Utah and maybe gotten rid of Toledo at Western Michigan. The other four, no, or the other three. So I could have got rid of those two for Missouri, but I was waiting for the quarterback. Kansas, I thought was a little high against West Virginia, who had just beaten Pitt. And I'm going, late 13 points, but I like Kansas. So, I could have replaced those two. But of course, after the games, it's much easier to bet. My brother would say to me, well, you didn't need the teaser in this game. You didn't need the teaser in that game. I go, yeah, they're all easy after the game's over. We know the score. But I got to bet it before the game. Before the game's over, before the game starts, I have to bet it. And I don't know what's going to happen after the game. You can easily look at the scoring. This is why I don't talk to my brother. I mean, he's too stupid to talk to, basically. So now I will put in the lines and the totals, and then I'll start. I got to look at the injuries, which don't happen till tomorrow. So today's Monday night game. We got Detroit and Baltimore. I played one of the sides. I like the total in the game also, but after Detroit Green Bay, I'm a little hesitant to play the Detroit. Yeah, they killed the Bears. I mean, this is so confusing. They killed the Bears, and then the Bears killed Dallas. I mean, what was that? Okay, CeeDee Lamb didn't play. Maybe that was it, or he got hurt. Again, there's a lot of bullshit. I mean, here's the problem with the NFL, right? Let's look at it. You've got, all right, Buffalo beats Miami. All right. Indy kills Tennessee. All right. We know Tennessee's the worst team which we thought was with Carolina. Is Indy really this great team? I don't think so. Atlanta, Carolina, we think Carolina's terrible, but they're showing something. So maybe they've moved up and they're not Carolina. They're a little bit better. So we have to adjust Indy and Carolina, we think. And then there's Atlanta, which we're scratching our head going, what the fuck? We know there's a coaching problem there. They have an idiot coach. Oakland, Washington, all right, you got Oakland, not much defense, apparently not much of an offensive line, and Geno Smith, who's very inaccurate. Washington, Dan, we love Washington, but now you got Mariota, and he's not responsible for the 41 points, I'm sure. Green Bay, we think they're better because of you had whatchamacallit, um, Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's all that bad. I think Detroit has Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland's not that bad. They got Miles Garrett. Micah Parsons is the Dallas guy. I always think of it 2 seconds later. But Miles Garrett, as long as you got him and they got some other good, they got a good defensive line. Uh, Flacco, that's going to be a problem. He's pretty bad. But Jordan Love, where was he? What the fuck? You got 10 points on Cleveland? Cleveland's not that good. Baltimore put 40 up on them. You put 10. Cincinnati, no Burrow, gets 10. Minnesota with 48 was not due to their offense. They do have a great defense. Can we trust them? I don't know. The Rams, Philly, two good teams I can trust. Pittsburgh struggled with New England, but did get the win. But they're not Pitt, and New England's terrible. Drake May, a lot of turnovers. The Jets, they were totally out of this game. Came on. I think they're pretty bad, and Tampa's pretty good. Tampa wins the game, but I mean, it wasn't. It was 26 to like 17. It wasn't even close. And then all of a sudden, what the fuck's going on in the end? Is this all? Are we looking at a fixed league? Is FanDuel and BetMGM running the scores? Is this real or not? I mean, how do all of a sudden the Jets with mighty Tyrod Taylor coming back against the good Tampa defense? Houston, Jacksonville. Houston can't score. CJ Stroud is terrible, which we know. Their defense, what the hell is going on? And Jacksonville this good? 17-10. This is where we're getting hurt is Carolina, the Indy, the Jets playing this, Jacksonville winning. Denver, San Diego is about what we thought. Low scoring game, close game. Seattle, New Orleans. New Orleans could be the worst team in the league. Seattle, we're not sure with Darnold. Dallas, what are they? They have no defense. Their head coach is terrible. Their defense is the worst I've ever seen. They have nothing. They let Caleb have 20 minutes back. They didn't blitz him. What are they thinking? Do they not understand you blitz them and that's how you beat Caleb? Beat Darnold, beat half these quarter, Jared Goff. I don't know. So you almost have to look for blitzing teams to win. Philadelphia and the Rams and Minnesota. I mean, that's about what you have to do. Arizona, I don't know. They beat Carolina, who maybe that was a pretty good win now. And they beat New Orleans, who is terrible. And then the Niners, I don't know what they are. Mac Jones beat Arizona 16-15. Kansas City is better. Kelsey's terrible. They got this receiver starting to play. Mahomes looks fine. Their defense looks fine. The Giants, I don't know what they are. And then Detroit, Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is what we think, as Buffalo is. Detroit, are they any good? I don't know. One quick note on the Tigers. They're choking. They're slowly choking away. They lost yesterday. I was all excited. They have a 1-game lead on Cleveland. It was 15. It's down to 1. Detroit's lost like 6 or 7 in a row. They're off today. And now they go to Cleveland for 3 and then finish at Boston, I believe. And so they're apparently starting Skubal tomorrow, which I thought he wasn't pitching till next week or till Thursday or Friday. So Skubal's pitching. Tomorrow. Well, it doesn't matter. They only have a 1-game lead. Even if he wins, then they got a 2-game lead. That's it. And then they have no pitching the rest of the thing. All Cleveland's got to do is win 3 games to win the title. So Detroit's bowing out gracefully. They won't make it. You cannot turn the switch. Just like Minnesota, lost all their games, and Detroit got in the playoffs last week or last year. It's the same thing here. You have Detroit. There's no switch. Skubal lost his last time out. The rest of the pitching's terrible. GM should really be fired. He didn't do anything. All his 220 minor league hittings are hitting 260, right? Most of the players are hitting 260 because they only face, if it's a lefty, he only faces righties. If he's a righty, they only face lefties. It's a joke. Then you have the pitching. Well, you start to realize, well, this guy only faces the bottom of the order. So, of course, his ERA is going to look better. He's not facing, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters, the guys that actually can hit. Look at Atlanta, swept them without a problem. They got really good hitting. That's a team with good hitting, not Detroit. So we will see. So baseball, they're getting down. This is the last week. And we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to point that out. I would bet, no matter what Skubal does, I would bet against Detroit the next 6 days or whatever they have left. And I would bet on Cleveland. So I'd bet against Detroit, non Cleveland, unless they face a Max Fried or one of these Philly pitchers or something like that. But if they just face these 5 ERAs, Cleveland will kill them. And that's what you got, is basically Detroit choking away. Back to economics. There was a video I wanted to show you. So we showed nobody can eat in Vegas because they're too expensive and they're charging all these other. So it's like saying, here's $50 for a Coke. Who's going to pay 50? Well, we got to add these surface charges to it. Corruption, NATO exposed the biggest scam. That was a pretty good one. I don't want to go through 30 minutes. Alligator, we can watch. Let's watch Alligator. And then I want to watch this. I won't do it in class, but the guy gives little hints on the camera, like your phone is recording you. It's the camera is doing. So you got to turn off all these things. So maybe I'll get a chance, but that's what it is. I recommend that. Useful things. Oh, this is 7 months ago. Whatever.
I'm here at the Morosco Forge Ice Bath Production Studio.
Nobody cares.
This morning you wrote again on your Substack channel with a headline, "The Dollar Calm Before the Storm." This article is so important to people to understand that we are heading for a financial hurricane, as Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan, has already confirmed. In your article, you took us back to 1920, 1923 in Weimar, Germany. And so if you could continue the story in regard to how the US dollar will be impacted and what will be the downside if you don't own gold and silver.
Yes, the purpose of that article was really to find a historical comparison with what's happening today. And of course, the most famous and most documented hyperinflationary collapse was the Reichsmark following the First World War, and when it finally collapsed in 1923. The collapse was very, very dramatic, and it's always been something which is, if you like, in the German psyche. We don't want to go there again. It's used as an if you like, as an example of appalling government behaviour and the willful destruction of the government. No, interestingly, what happened in Germany in general, if we just look over that whole period, we had politicians trying to deal with a very difficult situation. And they were, in that sense, they were driven by politics rather than economics. There were in the government various people who actually had a reasonable understanding of the difference between money and credit, gold and the Reichsmark. And they were silenced. They couldn't, if you like, pursue a sensible policy from an economic point of view because the politics wouldn't allow it. That is the same situation we have today. So that is the background. Interestingly, the Reichsmark lost something like 80% of its value between 1918 and 1920. Now, following that period, there was a period of stability, and it was an extraordinary period of stability. The fall in the Reichsmark had encouraged, if you like, production and exports. It also encouraged tourism, believe it or not, after the First World War. You had wealthy visitors coming in from places like America and all the rest of it. A lot of Americans were descended from Germans, so you could see that there was this influx, if you like, of stability. Now, we're not talking about what actually happened to the rate of expansion of credit, but businesses began to hum a bit and all the rest of it. And between particularly February 1920 and the end of 1921, the stock market soared. It tripled. And this meant that, people with a bit of wealth, as it were, after the war, what was left, recovered their position substantially. And there's this feeling of, wealth and things were good and it was all going well. But then in December, 1st of December 2020, the stock market began to collapse. Now, it lost 25% of its value in December that year. But then things started going downhill. And we found that from that time onwards, the purchasing power of the Reichsmark began its downward trend in earnest. And by most of the collapse was actually in the last 6 months of 1923. Sorry, I was century out, 1923. And that was when we had the reports of people collecting their wages in cash and then taking them around in a wheelbarrow to go and buy a loaf of bread and all this sort of stuff. The sad thing about this was that it meant the complete collapse, if you like, of wealth. It meant the impoverishment of the professional classes. The labouring classes weren't impoverished, but everybody was on the breadline, and food was getting very hard to come by. People living in the cities weren't getting supplies from the country because they couldn't pay for food supplies from the country. So farmers, farming communities, and all the rest of it were very reluctant to send food into the cities. So the situation was really very, very dire. But the interesting thing in the way this worked was there were three phases. You had the initial 1918 to 20 phase. You had the 1920 to end of 21 phase. And then you had the final collapse. This actually looks quite like the situation we have today. We had COVID in 2020. We had the fall in the purchasing power of currencies, in other words, unexpected inflation, which peaked 2 years later in 2022. So, since then, inflation has declined and is no longer a problem. And we have the stock market that's absolutely soared. I mean, the S&P has gained, 50, 60% or something in that time? That's correct. Not as dramatic as the German stock market between 1920 and the end of 21, but nonetheless, pretty dramatic. And like in Germany, that period was characterized by increasing speculation and the feeling that things were going up forever. And what have we got today? We've got increasing speculation, feeling that everything's going up forever. And that speculation is going even further. I mean, we created new media to speculate in. Things like Bitcoin. Okay, we can create a nice little story behind it, and everybody's buying into it. And guess what? They're making loads and loads of money. This is exactly like what happened in Germany in the middle of this crisis. Yeah, that middle step, if you like, the sort of the stabilization bit in the middle. That's where we are today. But this raises the thought, from 2026, are we going to be like Germany in 1922, going into 1923? Now here we've got to look at the politics of the situation. Can we possibly imagine the political class who are currently completely driven by political considerations breaking with what happened in Germany, where they continue to be driven by political considerations into the ultimate currency collapse? Can we see our politicians getting off that track? Can we see them having a mandate to actually create massive unemployment, to let the economy basically sort itself out, stand back, and say, we get involved in the economy, we just mess it up. We're going to stand back. We're going to go back onto a gold stand. We're going to stabilize the currency. What? Do we really see that? Politicians are not elected to do that. I would love to be convinced that someone, somewhere, will step in and have the authority to do it before the ultimate collapse of today's fiat currencies and prevent them continuing on the course which the Reichsmark followed until November 2023. As a matter of interest, 2023, the ultimate collapse, then something could be done about it. But it had to collapse first. Crisis first, solution always second. And the solution was to value the Reichsmark at $1 trillion to 1 gold mark. They didn't introduce the gold mark. The whole thing was a con trick, but it worked because everybody wanted it to work. And if you put it in terms of dollars, before the First World War, when both the dollar and the mark were on a gold standard, you had 1 mark was worth 23 US cents. What this meant was that the final reckoning in November 1923, you had $1 being the equivalent of over 4 trillion Reichsmark. That was the extent of the collapse. Now, please, someone tell me how we get off this roller coaster. That third stage is what we have ahead. And just to, the escape route is obvious. But of course, nobody's taking it yet because everybody believes that interest rates are coming down, inflation's not a problem. It's exactly where they were in November 1921. That's where we are emotionally. It's exactly the same. But the escape route was get into hard gold-backed currencies. But there are no gold-backed currencies at the moment. Now, I suspect that China and Russia will go on to, they will back their currencies. But can we buy those? No, we can't. It's not available to us. I suppose you could do something on the black market, but do you really want to do that? No. The answer is to buy gold, which throughout history and in everybody's common law is real money, with everything else being credit. Everything else being credit. And just to, if you like, sort of put a little bit of a final anecdote on this, by late 1923, you could buy a large house in Berlin, in a nice swanky part of Berlin. And remember, between 1920 and 1921, all the wealth that had accumulated meant that property prices, all the rest of it, in sackable areas were through the roof, just as they are apartments in Manhattan or Mar-a-Lago or in Florida or whatever. I mean, all these things were incredibly valuable. Well, you could buy one of those for $100, which at the time was roughly 5 ounces of gold. That's where it sank to in late 1923.
Wow. I did hear that in 1923 that income generators, the working person, was being paid twice a day just to be able to keep up with.
Yeah, we know all that. They get paid and then they go to the store and buy their milk and bread. Yeah, we know that. Anyway. So that's our class for today. The bottom line is buy your gold and silver. What he's talking about is the Reichsmark. They printed too much. It wasn't backed by gold, and it went, it was $1 trillion. A dollar bought you $1 trillion of them because they had no value. They were wallpapering their house, their wheelbarrows, because they overprinted the Reichsmark. And that's what we're doing with the dollar, because we are spending more than we're taking in. So we have to print to cover our Social Security, Medicare, the interest on the debt, and all the government employees, which we got to keep printing. And so you can't. It kills the value. And it's as simple as that. The dollar has no value. Let's check what gold's at now. And we are at 37.37 and 43.88. So yes, Ron, we just might see 44 today in silver. We are very close to it. And gold, we're up $50 and really not much sinking. It's just going to keep going. These little downshoots you see at 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, I don't know what they are. Who's dumb enough to short something that's going to the moon? It's just insane. So that's where we're at. So yes, we'll see this. This will be 4,000 soon. This will be 50 soon, and then it'll be 100. That's where we're headed because Stone Cold said so. It's where it's headed because the dollar has no value, and none of the dollars. This has no value. The UK's going broke. Japan's broke. The UK's broke. Germany's broke. France is broke. Italy's broke. Everything's broke. And so if you're people there, you're seeing prices going up. Don't buy that there's no inflation. Inflation's thousands of % because it's not year over year. It goes back to 1971 when this went off the gold standard. That's why you'll hear, well, Star Wars was the #1, but if you convert it for inflation, it was, it's $1 billion. Well, I thought there was no inflation. I thought it was 2%. Don't buy the 2% line. It's very, very high. It's over 1,000%, but we really can't even count it. Which inflation is that? The gold inflation, the car inflation, the house inflation, the steak inflation. What inflation are we talking about? And you don't really measure it in prices going up. You measure it in the amount of dollars you've inflated. And therefore, if you're inflating all these dollars, they have no value. The value keeps dropping in the dollar. So it takes you more money to buy a steak and a chicken and a ham and and Coke and Oreo cookie and all that is so much more expensive. It's all because the dollar is losing value. And gold isn't getting the same rise as a Coke, right? A 2 liter is now $3.60, well, at least at some grocery stores. Well, I don't see gold going up the same proportion as the Coke is. Oh, it's going up, but not like Coke is, right? So that's the real key. So the gold's going up much, much slower. Therefore, we see its value going much, much higher as we get to that. And that's why your stocks are bullshit. The Bitcoin's bullshit. It's all Ponzi scheme. Anything with Larry Fink, run the other way. Anything with George Soros, run the other way. George Soros is a big problem, and Scott Benson works for George Soros. Trump, I think, is working for George Soros. Trump only sees how he can make money without understanding the money's worthless. This is the key. So you can have a lot of money in your 401k and your stocks. It's not worth anything because it's dollars. This is why we're in gold, because the gold's going up. This is going down. So even though you've got 500,000 of this, it's not worth. There's no value in it. So you really don't have value in that. So really, it's not. So that's what you got to understand and realize. So with that said, all right. Anything else? Quiet day, a tough week in football, but it's all you can do. It's the same. I went 8-1 the week before with the same picks. It's just all these block kicks. Can't explain it. Dallas, CeeDee Lamb gets hurt. Still, they didn't blitz Caleb. Okay. Caleb's not that good. We saw him get killed by the Lions. So it's a lot of inconsistencies. There's a lot of bad players. There's a lot of bad coaches. And then you got certain teams playing each other like Philly and the Rams, that San Diego and Denver, that you can't. What did I lock Denver the week before? And I couldn't play them here. I played the under, but small. So that's really what you're looking at. You're looking at certain there's a lot of bad coaches and there's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the league, and they try to drum them up. So you'll go pay $500 for the game, which is ridiculous. The Lions charging $500 a ticket. I don't know what they're thinking. This is what it sounds like, is teams that are bankrupt, and they figure, well, I know I'll lose some fans, but I got to charge $500. But look at Vegas. Vegas going bankrupt, and now there's, oh wait, we better lower the price. That's what the problem is. They're finally figuring this out 10 years later. Again, these resort fees are a scam, and they really have it because you don't really agree to it. I agree to pay $80 for the room, and then you're going to charge me $150 because of resort fee. Well, I don't agree to pay it. I'm going to pay $85 because that's what I agreed to. Even if you do it on bookings, if you go to bookings.com and pay it, you don't normally pay the resort fee. Normally what they'll just hit you with these taxes. Like I'm sure in Vegas, you'll have to pay for the Oakland Raiders stadium. And then that little bowl where they have all this entertainment now, like they really need it. They're trying to do that to justify all these high ticket prices, but you can't. There's no market. You're creating a market that doesn't exist. Nobody. I'll go to the Lion game. Oh, it's $500. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I got $500 to pay. It's a joke. It's all going to come crashing down because people are going to have to pay it back. They don't think they have to. I'll just hit a credit card and I just won't never pay it. And I'll pay minimum payments. Well, what will happen is the banks are going to collapse because they're not going to get their money, and that'll be it. Anyway, that's what's going on. So now I get to study. Pros I'll do tomorrow because there's still Monday night. College I have a pretty good idea of the teams, and I still, when I go in, I look at who they played to see if it's a high school team. I can kind of try to adjust their defense. Most of the bigger teams, the Baylors, the LSU, we watch all the games, so I know what they're doing. It's the South Alabama, North Texas game that I'm like, hey, I think North Texas is explosive, although I don't know what happened to South Alabama. Or USC, Illinois. We watch the USC, Illinois games, so we have an idea there. Akron, Toledo. I know Toledo beat my Western Kentucky team. So that's where you get in. And then you have to decide, do I want to bet against the Z team? Do I want to bet Toledo against Akron, or do I want to bet the Ohio State Washington game or the Alabama Georgia game? Who do I want to bet on? Sometimes I want to bet the Toledo's because, they're playing a Z team. They should beat them. They're a pretty good team. And I don't want to fuck with Alabama and Georgia. So you sometimes do that. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. But I've been doing this for a long time. And therefore, I figure it out and I adjust. And that's why I win, is I adjust. I realize, hey, fuck, Missouri's a pretty good team this year. Let's start betting them where they weren't even in my radar. Obviously, I took Kansas over Missouri. And Missouri, and they really beat them by 5. They had a long run at the end of the game to win by 11. So they really won by 4. So Kansas is just as good as Missouri, really. Anyway, that's what I have. I'll fill in the real spreads in that. I'm going to go eat, take my walk, take my swim, and go on from there. All right. Have a good day. We will keep watching gold. Expect it to be 4,000 soon. Expect silver to be 50, on its way to 100, on its way to 500. Oh, it can. The high is 50. The paper high is 50, not the physical. The price fixed high is 50. The physical high, we don't know what it is. It's somewhere up here, and COMEX is 44. What is this number? I guarantee you it's three digits. It's 500. It's 700. It's not. This is 43. This is not 43. And this is not like the stocks go up, the stocks go down. It's not like Bitcoin where it went to 120, now it's 104. That's not what this is. This is, I have to get out of dollars and buy gold. This is this collapsing, and you buy gold and silver because this is worthless. That's what this is. So it's going to keep climbing. Where Bitcoin, the people buying Bitcoin are clueless. They're all going to go broke because they don't know what they're doing. And they think, it's worth 114. But they're not stopping to think that 114 doesn't have a value. It's worthless. Anyway, like I said, my guy doesn't have any. Yes, Ron, he has 0 gold. So how are you going to buy the gold if there's no gold to buy? This is the other problem. This is why you buy the gold at any price now, because soon it's not going to have a value, and it's not going to have a supply of it. So you're gonna be fucked with it. So that's the point. It's your problem is not going to be that. It's going to be finding the gold, right? It'll be 5,000 an ounce. Where are you going to find it at? Who's going to have it? Unless you go plan on flying to China, you're not going to get it. Maybe a little in Russia, maybe some in Europe, Switzerland. You can go to Egon's, but that's the point. And most of the big guys have bars, which we don't care. We're just buying ounces. So that's where you're at with it. It's just buying the ounce. All right, I'm going to let you go and have some lunch, and that's about it. So www.teaserking.com. Rough week in full. Wow, we're successful. We're 9-5 in college, and we're going to be successful in the pros. We're just not going 9-0. We hit one lock and we missed one lock. So the locks broke even. And that's it. So it's one of those weeks. It was a kind of a tough setup. Most of the games I didn't like, I ended up with 6 or 7. And I don't know, I'm doing, we got the game tonight. We hit Kansas City. We hit San Diego under, and Tampa and Houston, who had to win. So we did okay. It was a lot of strange games. The Dallas game, I overreacted. I don't do that very often. And that's it. So we will see. All right. Well, have a good night. Good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Watch our gold. It's going to go to 4,000. Just keep buying it. It's not overpriced. It's underpriced. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.